Hey Duncan, how's it going?
Hey there. Good, yeah. How are you?
Bad, not bad. Olivier's here as well. I think it's just slightly delayed letting him in for some reason. But what's been happening down the south of Spain?
And not that much. Uh, not that much really. Yeah, I've been working on the AI employee stuff. So yeah, trying to create that kind of intro product or yeah, the um the system.
What I found interesting actually is for some reason, I think it's because it's like obviously they're in demand right now, number one, but I think even just having or selling the system itself, like the pre-built kind of aspect, is doing really well right now. And I think I mean, I'm talking about the ladder funnels alone. Even when the upsell's not really working that well, the ladder funnels alone are sitting at 2.5, 3 times return. And that's with the upsell not positioned the way I'd want it. But I'm going to have to change it a little bit, which is interesting because you can just run that. Like if you spend 500 per day, you'll make it 500 every day profit on something like that, if not more. So it's interesting because it's very uncommon to see that.
And what kind of offer is that you're seeing that?
It's basically the like we're sell so the different systems we have, right? You've got reviews, referrals, AI employees. I'm not selling the AI employee up front because I want that to be the upsell because it's more of a recurring service, but we'll sell like the reviews or we'll sell the referral system implemented in 60 minutes or how to implement it, but not really. Just like I told you in my response to you, I'm not really selling how to implement it with like a educational component to it. I'm more so saying pre-built system implemented now. That's kind
So
of how I
that's
would
kind
put it.
of that's what I'm trying to do. So like I'm I'm trying to have it so it's just like go here, paste this in, go here, like apply for your phone number, and then you connect this with this other thing, and then you're pretty much ready to go. Oh, and connect your calendar. Um, so that's what I'm trying to do. I haven't made that video yet
Hmm.
because um I've been trying to get the landing page right first.
Gotcha. Even I think the most obviously you want to do that, but I launched, for example, without being fully ready. To be honest, I launched when I just gave the system and didn't really say how to use the system. So my priority is always going to be get the landing page done, then we can deal with the back end afterwards. So well, not afterwards, but it's not. I would rather get the landing page right first and then figure out the intricacies of the process. But yeah, that's again, it's like obviously we all want recurring revenue, but there's something to be said as well about simply having a system where you spend, $500 or euros per day and you make 500, 1,000 back, right? Or
Yeah,
one point.
definitely. That would that would be really great at this point. And also just kind of yeah, building up that list of leads because I was obviously getting a lot of leads and I can see how okay, I can follow up with them on WhatsApp, I can email them and stuff, but I was just getting a bit uncomfortable with um the spending to just book the calls with
Mhm.
that. So that's why I'm interested in switching to this.
What happened, just out of interest, what happened to the one, the sort of the, I know it wasn't really a proposal, but the one that you did send out that was 3K?
Say that again.
You didn't send out a proposal, but you had a good call that was proposed at 3K, right?
Um,
What happened to that one?
um, so it was just had two calls, and so I just got a sign. Yeah, well,
You still there? Is it did that fade out for everyone else, or is it just me? If someone can let me know.
Can you
It
can you
faded out.
Oh, it
can,
did.
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, it broke up
Yeah.
completely there.
Sorry, I had to. The sorry, the postman came.
No worries.
The basically, yeah. So I had the two calls, and they were interested. And then I followed up and just and haven't heard anything back. So and then the kind of it looked like it was a really good rate of converting to booked appointments at first, and then and then I've not had any more.
Hmm.
Um, so, but I've got yeah, it's pretty consistent with getting leads and getting people coming in and testing it out, and like I also added the WhatsApp functionality as well, so they can message back and forth and with the AI on WhatsApp. Um, but I think to run ads to it, I'd like to see if I can get them to pay that $27
Hmm.
or €27 or whatever.
I'm wondering if the platform is optimized because the problem is, right, you want phone calls, you don't want leads. The platform is basing it on leads. So I'm wondering if it's optimizing to get those leads rather than the phone call. Now the problem is there's a gap between a phone call booking in and the lead setting up. So it's hard to feed that data back to the platform.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm
mean,
wondering if that could be part of it.
I yeah, I was able to get it to kind of fire conversion events to say booked appointment,
It is okay.
like when it actually books the appointment, but obviously it's only two, so it's kind of and the campaign's still optimizing for the goal is still it was still set to leads. But that's why I think there's obviously demand, so that's why
Mhm.
I was like, okay, it would be great if I can switch this to use the ladder funnel instead, get them to actually buy the you know yeah, pay the €27.
Yeah.
And then that can, even if then I'm just collecting like a list of leads, I do think that if I follow up with them over a long enough period of time, then someone's gonna buy. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the demand is definitely there for you. You can see it right there. It's just okay, it's because obviously the €3,000 is a higher price point at that first purchase, or at face value is a higher price point. Good side of that is that when it does convert, then you're good, right? It resets. You're in a good position. It's just getting to that point. It's that in between time. So that is where the ladder funnel does benefit you, right? And what I'm seeing is that it's for whatever reason, I'm used to ladder funnels operating at 80%, so I'll lose 20% on the front, and that's okay. This is like my $27 product is converting for $25, excluding upsells. So just on that alone, it's profitable. Now, obviously not much, but that's where the upsells make it very profitable, which is interesting. So I think there's you've seen the demand for it. I think there's a lot of demand for just selling the systems standalone. And like I say, obviously the goal is recurring. That's what we want to be doing. But even just if you're making 100, 200, €300 per day just on the funnel, it's a it's a good spot to be in. You know.
yeah, that would be amazing right now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, I plan to kind of get it, get the get that page set up, and then or kind of improve it, I guess. Um, and then test it out with the same audience that was working
Hmm.
for the lead gen for the lead forms,
Hmm.
and then try out some other audiences, because if it's a purchase, it doesn't matter so much, like the value of them being nearby. I
Hmm.
just thought, being kind of just down the road, there was some value to that when I was going to be calling every single one of them.
Hmm.
But if it's a direct purchase, then it doesn't matter as much. Is my thinking.
I think you've seen the demand for it. I think you just have to make it sustainable for yourself in the way that you like to work. You know, the demand is there. You've got lots and lots of leads. You've got calls booked. You got basically what you call proposals, right? You've pitched people with the pricing, and
Yeah.
at one point or another, those deals are gonna tip over the line. It's just about making the ads side of it sustainable for you. That's it. That's the only goal now. That's you've come all you've come the long journey to get the demand. Now it's just okay. How do we make it sustainable for you? And the ladder funnel might just be the answer to that. Whether it breaks even or whether it profits on the front, one way or another, you're going to get done for you. Especially because the whole thing is you're selling the saving of time. So the one thing you don't want to do is spend time messing around. So it leads perfectly to the done for you offer. It kind of works. You just got to get that trust built.
Yeah, because what it feels like is that they are motivated to take some kind of quick action, and so but then it's kind of actually, like you said, having the time to take that next step. Because, for example, another guy who I am actually going to follow up with when he gets back to Europe, but he filled out the lead form, and then I called him, and he said that he's on he didn't pick up, and he texted back and said, "Oh, I'm on a 20-hour flight, just leaving Spain right now, going to Bali." So like, he obviously wasn't able to talk on the phone, but he was motivated, even though the
Yeah.
ad said we're going to call you. He was motivated to do something
Mm-hmm.
when he was sitting there. So that might actually have worked for that example. He's got that time on the flight, but he can't talk on the phone. If I did have a low ticket product at that point, there's a good chance he would have, bought it and kind of sat there on the plane studying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing you don't want to do is be at. Well, this is a two-pronged sentence, I suppose. It's perfectly okay to be at the mercy of people's calendars and things like that when you can, you're comfortable saying, like, I can spend 300, 400 euros because I'm going to make 3 grand out of it, right? When you're happy to do that over and over and over again. And sometimes it'll be 500, sometimes it'll be 100. That's the volatility. If that is something that is unsettling, then, or not unsettling, but it's just uncomfortable, then okay, we don't want to be at the mercy of that. And that's where ladder funnels come into play. To get that purchase, to get that transaction paying for itself. And then you can be at the mercy of people's calendars all you want because you're not paying for it anymore, So I think it will work quite well for you. But the demand is clearly there. You've just got to figure out the sustainability part for yourself. That's it, really.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, or does anybody else have any questions they want us to dive into before we dive in today? Obviously, we'll come back at the end as well for any questions you do have. But is there anything anybody or yourself, Duncan, you want to ask?
No, not really.
Okay, all good. Anybody else wanted to cover anything or ask anything before we dive in? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask.
I appreciate all the value all the time. It gets a little dizzying. The one thing I don't want to be is just like you, because I don't have the patience like you do.
I don't know what you're talking about, Wade. No, All right. Someone's hopping in here. All right. Okay. On that note, what we'll do is we'll hop into today's training. As ever, my usual line, which is I might be on a different tab. If I don't see your question in the chat and you do want to ask that question, just unmute yourself and ask me, because sometimes I'm on a different tab, moving the slides along and things like that, So if there's anything, please do ask. And if I don't see it in the chat, I'll just unmute yourself and ask. It's not rude at all. I'm happy to take the question. But like I said, we'll come back for questions at the end. So today's session is going to be a little bit of an insight, and I guess we're going to be taking it to the next step, which is in understanding and how we build that legacy business we've been talking about. That's what I'm doing, is I'm progressing the reasons why, the understanding behind how we come up with this. How do we get into the position where we're operating like these businesses? What does it take? Where does this even come from? What does the production process that we've been talking about even look like? Giving a lot more context. So we're going to be diving in, and the key is this sentence right here. Take the old into the new, and then take the new into the old. Most people only do this part, right? That's where they get stuck. That's where a lot of businesses find a little bit of success, and then they start to struggle. The reason it works so well is because we do this part first, which is counterintuitive, I suppose, right? When we're talking about AI systems and processes, it's counterintuitive to do this, to actually pay attention to what the old businesses do. But we're going to do a little bit of both today, and you're going to see why, you're going to see how, and you're going to see the method to the madness. So I've done this for the best part of 8 years now. I've seen the ups and I've seen the downs. I've done it through global shutdowns. I've just had thousands of clients and customers. I've experienced the patterns, and I've seen the mistakes that people make, and it's typically the same mistakes. And this isn't what people are doing on a day-to-day basis. This is, if you look at the market overall, if you look at all the things that you see out there, all the things that you're taught, these people make mistakes. These people will tell you to do things so that you get a quick win. But the reality is, 2 months later, you're struggling again. It's this cycle, right? And we have to understand what causes that and how we break free from doing that and making those same mistakes. And we're going to dive into it today. So for many years, people wanted to run offers like SEO as a service, or maybe it was media buying as a standalone. They wanted to generate leads or have some form of service in that space, right? They wanted to, that's the services, right? But we've all seen them over the last 10 years. Let's see, what's this, 2026? Yeah, maybe 7 years, 7, 8 years, since 2018, roughly. Media buying, SEO, PPC, the works. That was the service that people wanted to sell. Did it sell? Did it work? Of course it did. SEO allows you to sell future opportunity to a client, as did media buying. You could sell the future opportunity. You could sell leads. You could sell traffic to their website. And the reality of SEO, as we all know, is that it takes months to kick in, if not 6, 12 months, to actually see that needle moving whatsoever. Paid ads was volatile as well. You're at the mercy of ad platforms at times. So what did this create? This created a business where clients cycled in and out, right? Very, very little stability. The client would be there for 2, 3 months until they didn't feel the needle moving, and then they would give up on it. That was the cycle, and it would happen. And it impacted you because it meant your clients were recycling every 2 to 3 months, which is a very hard foundation to build upon. But nobody told you this, right? Nobody told you. They just told you if you go and sell leads to someone or traffic to someone, they're going to buy it, and then nothing. They stop there. You get paid, they stop there. But that doesn't build a business. You look at all of those industrial parks out there, those big, big warehouses, those big buildings. Did they do that? Is that how they run their business? No, it's not. It's not how they run their business. Not at all, actually. So you could run on this treadmill for a while, but you'd burn out. And I've felt this before. I've experienced this before. This is how I started. I ran media buying quite heavily, and we retained clients for years. But of course, there were clients that lasted 3 months as well. I felt that. I felt like I was always replenishing. And I'm sure I'm not the only one here that's experienced that before, right? We've all felt that. We've all struggled, where even if it's not your fault, I've told you the story before on many workshops and calls and things before, where we delivered 17 times return on an ad spend. 17 times. and the client still decided they wanted to just try Amazon out. It didn't make any sense. We did our job, but we can't control that. But we relied upon it. So I never wanted to rely on something I couldn't control. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. We can all hold our hands up here, right? And say, like, we've experienced this before. We've experienced this treadmill before. Now, I've spoken a lot about building a legacy business and modeling things after businesses that have been around for 20 years, doing virtually the same thing. Their process doesn't change. They sell the same things. They've got the same product. Yes, maybe they've updated them, but the core principles of the business, they remain the same. A legacy business allows you to build consistently. It has strong foundations built on real needs and real problems that they actually have. But the key is it becomes very consistent. It doesn't stop when you stop running. It keeps going. The business still comes in. It's still there. They still get paid. They can go on vacation and still get paid because the demand doesn't disappear. And that's the beauty of it. So legacy businesses work a little bit differently. They're always in motion and they've got a very, very strong foundation. How good would it be if we had that foundation? How good would it be if we had a business where the demand was ever present, that clients still came in and they stuck around and you get paid consistently without you having to run all the time? That'd be a great business to have, right? That'd be fantastic. So I decided to study these businesses over the last few years and speak to these business owners. I actually spoke to them and I wanted to learn how they operated. Now, some people have said in the market, you've probably heard this before, take AI into local businesses. So basically taking the new stuff into the old businesses. They basically use the term make boring businesses, work with boring businesses, take modern day systems into boring businesses. And that's the whole concept that they run. They want you to take AI into plumbers, electricians, HVAC, even real estate, typical businesses. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. That works. Absolutely. But first, I wanted to take the old into the new. I wanted to put a step in front of that, because if not, I'm repeating the cycle. I'm taking new exciting things into old businesses and it can last 3 months. It's not a strong foundation. I have to learn from the old first, implement the old stuff, the recurring, the foundation, the strength, the infrastructure, then take the system to these businesses. Just a little step before we dive in that's going to make your life and your business a lot stronger, a lot easier, and a lot stronger without really doing that much. We're just building the right way. So this reversed the process as an initial step because I didn't want to make the same client cycle mistake that everybody else makes. Now, I've shared this before, but I want to cover it briefly to give the rest of this workshop some context. I noticed in the businesses that had been around for years, they often solved quite a simple problem. The businesses that were boring and had been around the longest didn't go direct to the consumer. They were all in the B2B space, business to business, every one of them. Look at those industrial parks. Think about them, right? We've all driven past those industrial parks with all the warehouses, all those things. The stuff, not shopping malls that are all a nice facade. I'm talking about those really ugly looking industrial parks. Okay, now they're getting a bit more modern, right? They're getting the industrial chic kind of facades. Okay, they're getting better, but still, they're just industrial parks. They're pretty ugly. They're pretty boring. Big buildings. So half the time it's just like a garage door on the front. Right? That's what it looks like. It's a garage door in the front, and the business is inside. But these businesses are around for years and years and years. Factories don't look pretty, but they're around for years. All of these businesses, the majority of them, the vast majority, are B2B. They sell to businesses. Why do they do this? Because businesses spend money, but they often produce something, right? And this is going to take a bit of a twist here. They often produce something that is essential to another business's operation. So what we do is we take the structure of these businesses, we take the logic, and we build the framework into our modern day businesses, the agency space, the AI space. We're taking this old infrastructure, this old framework, this stuff that makes them last 20 to 50 to 100 years, take those principles into these new spaces. Now, here's a few examples to give you some more context. A very, very successful business that I worked with was the most boring thing you've ever heard of. They manufactured the steel parts, so steel legs, like the screws and things like that for different chairs. Think about IKEA furniture. It didn't work with IKEA, but it's the most relevant example. Think about IKEA furniture. Imagine being the person who manufactured the steel legs for all of the chairs. You'd make quite a lot of money, right? That's what they did. Not for IKEA, but for general furniture. They manufactured steel parts for different chairs. How boring is that? That's so boring. Imagine you woke up every day and you just manufactured the leg of a chair. Pretty boring. But every single time the chair company sold a chair, they had to order more steel parts. They became part of the production process, which meant consistent, steady orders flowing in. Then you think about the shipping label example I've given before. Every time a product is sold, they need shipping labels. They don't change their label vendor very often. A 10%, if someone comes to them with a 10% discount, it doesn't really swing them. They don't move because they look for consistency and reliability. Think about a coffee shop. They don't really change who supplies the coffee cups, the to-go cups. Why? Because they need them delivered consistently with the same quality, the same branding over and over and over again. Once they have that set up, they don't really change. Saving 10% doesn't really mean much to them. It doesn't do much for them. It's not worth the risk to them. In order to sell coffee, they need their to-go cups. So they look for reliability and consistency rather than taking the risk. That's the reality behind what we're doing here, right? But there's something that you might not have seen in this process. There's something that may not be obvious in this process. All of this is organization. Every single component of this is built around organization. And remember, if you read my post, if you had the time to read my post the other day, organized businesses make money. Chaotic businesses don't make money. That's why it's so important, not only for you to be organized, but for the service that you provide to help other businesses become organized. So there's a trend in all of this. All of those businesses that I mentioned there. These businesses, the steel parts, the shipping labels, the coffee shops, they all pay for services consistently where something matters more than the price. Organization, convenience, consistency, timing, all of it forms to organization. They will pay more to be and to feel organized. They just want to feel organized. They know where they get their coffee cups from. They know how to order. They know what it's going to look like. They know what it's going to feel like. It's organized. The steel company knows, or the chair company knows exactly what the steel from the company is going to look like. They know they're going to have the right measurements. They don't have to tell them that again. They don't have to go through the process of Do they make it to the right standard? Do they make mistakes? Are they late shipping orders? All that sort of stuff. They don't have to take any of those risks. It's consistent. It's organized. That keyword, once again, it is organized. They will pay to be organized. The chair store doesn't change their steel vendor because they feel organized ordering from them, knowing it's going to show up. The e-commerce company just needs to ship products. They don't care what it looks like, the shipping label stuff, right? They don't care what that looks like. They just want to feel organized. They want to know when an order comes in, how to get a shipping label, and then it's going to be the right. It's a lot of, just for a bit of background knowledge, shipping labels. It's a lot about the customs declarations and things like that, and that can cause a lot of delays and problems. So the second they have something in place where it's consistent, 10% is not going to sway them. They don't care. They just want to get it right consistently. So they never change. The coffee shop employees know the ordering process. They know what to expect. They know their delivery. They know the quality. They feel organized. That's why they stick and they keep paying the same vendor. It's all about organization. That's the secret. Now, in a few moments, I'm going to switch gears here and I'm going to take this into the AI space, right? And I want you to see something. I want you to remember what I'm saying here about organization. And I want you to hold that thought in your brain, right? Hold that thought in your mind, organization. So when I take you into the AI space and I take you into AI employees, remember that keyword and the light bulb is going to flicker on in your mind. You're going to see what I'm seeing here, right? So the secret is an organization. An organized business makes money, and that's where morning routines come from. That's why very successful people often eat the same foods, they wear the same shirts, they exercise, they have assistants managing their calendars, because it's all organized. That allows them to operate. That's why standard operating procedures exist, and that's why they're so valuable. That's why everybody wants them. It keeps things organized. Organization provides clarity. Clarity allows them to take action with less friction. It makes the decision-making process so much easier. There's less friction because they know where things stand. And remember, a key limitation of the human brain is uncertainty. The fear of the unknown is much, much scarier than the fear you feel when you know what to expect. If you're scared of something, if you're afraid of something, right, and you imagine the worst case possible scenario and you accept that, you're okay if that happens, you're okay with the reality of that, it's not scary anymore. The problem comes when you don't know what it's like. Think about like diving in the ocean, right? If someone said to you, listen, there's no sharks here. We don't have sharks in this water. It's too cold or too warm, whatever the thing is. There's no sharks in this water. You'll jump in, no problem. But if they don't say that, you don't know what you're jumping into. Are there sharks in that water? You don't know. It's terrifying, right? It's terrifying. If you know the reality is there might be sharks in that water, but you probably won't see them because they typically hang around the seals in the corner. I appreciate this is a very off-piste example, but it will make sense. If you know that they're off on another shore because there's seals over there, they're very unlikely to come over. You know, the worst case is that maybe there's a 5% chance that you see one. It makes it a lot easier for you to just dive in because you accept the worst case, right? It's easier. This is how the human brain works. The unknown is so much worse than simply knowing what the worst case is and accepting that. So when a business is unorganized, it becomes much more difficult because they don't know what to expect. It creates chaos. That's why you feel so much more confident when you have a plan in place. So what do we do about it, right? That raises the question. What do we do about this? How do we take this? If we know this, if we know they've got to be organized, they can't be chaotic, what do we do about it? How do we make money from that? Well, we take these three concepts and we combine them. So we're taking the problem-solving nature of legacy businesses. They typically solve simple problems, just simple problems. Maybe they need a consistent steel supplier. They solve the problem. They need it in certain sizing. Solve the problem. Maybe the coffee company needs a special cup because it's heat resistant and doesn't burn a hand. Or maybe they want it branded, but they don't want to go through the whole process or have minimum orders. So a lot of companies will just have these stickers produced for their coffee cups. Well, maybe that solves the problem, right? Keeps it means they don't have to do minimum orders and large quantities and things like that. Solves the problem. These businesses simply solve problems. So we take the problem-solving nature of the legacy style businesses, simple problems. Then we go into the B2B integration. So we take the production nature of things. We need to produce something. Now, again, watch this space. I'm going to take a little turn in a few moments. It's very important. So we have to take the component of production and we have to integrate into the organization. Then we take the organization component, and this is the secret sauce. We give them clarity and we give them order. That's why clients stick. They pay more and they refuse to leave because the feeling of entering back into chaos, they don't want to do that. They don't want to go back into chaos. They'll never want to do that. Why would they, right? Chaos is uncertain. Chaos has no bounds. Like it's just free flowing. Organization feels contained. They know what to expect. So we're going to take these three components, problem solving, B2B product integration, and organization, and we're going to put them together. So we're building this into our business. This is taking the old into the new. So we've got AI over here. AI, we're going to take the old stuff here. We're going to bring it into an AI business. And then we're going to go backwards. Watch this. So now we are ready to take the new into the old. We've built the frameworks. Now we're taking the new into the old. We're flipping it on its head. So we start to identify the areas where we can use AI to fit this criteria. How do we solve existing problems with existing demand using AI? When you think about a business, right? When you think about waking up in the morning and you think, what do I do? How do I solve these problems? It becomes so much easier when it's contained like this, right? When you think of the sentence, how do we solve existing problems with existing demand using AI? That is your business. That's the entire scope of a business, right? We don't have to think about what do we provide? What do we sell? No. What existing problems do we solve that have existing demand? People want to solve them. How do we do it with AI? That's the question we have to ask. How do we integrate ourselves into the B2B production process using AI as the gateway? How do we do that? How do we use AI to organize a business which makes them more successful? Now we start to create that powerful combination, solve existing problems, integrate the product, organize. And what that does for us, when we combine, the doors start to open. We tap into existing demand because we solve existing problems. It becomes essential. We're specifically aligned for extremely strong retention, which sets us apart from every other agency out there, every one of them. Our client retention is going to skyrocket because we become an essential part of the production process. We aren't selling opportunity here. We're selling organization. It's functional. They already understand it, which makes it so much easier to sell. They already understand it. We don't have to give them, they understand that when they miss phone calls, they're losing money. They understand they don't have enough time. They understand when they're sitting at the dinner table and the phone is ringing all the time. And again, we'll come on to this in a few moments. I've got some very strong examples for you here, so bear with me. But they understand the consequences already. They understand the extent of the problems because they face it on a daily basis. So we're not selling opportunity, we're selling organization. This is the formula, and this is why it works. Everybody tries to sell the exciting side of AI, and that's not the right way to do it. This formula has logic built into it. Everybody else tries to take the new simply into the old, right? They try to take new AI into plumbers, etc., real estate, etc. We take the old into the new, building the structure of our business, and then we take the new into the old because we've now got that structure. That's the difference. You're so far ahead because your business is built to retain. Other businesses are simply built to get a couple of clients. Then that's it. The way you're structured here is built to retain clients. So when we get those clients, we keep them. Because we're built the right way. We're built like a legacy business. This is an organized strategy. It's designed to solve not only a client's problem, but also the agency's problem. Most of the time, you're just trying to solve a client's problem. We're actually solving for both here. So when you do this, and when you use this formula, you build an extremely strong, robust business. You don't lose clients constantly. You can actually build up like a snowball, right? So what we're going to come on to here is obviously we've covered essential demand, the production process. Now I'm going to show how it's an extremely low cost model and how high your margins are in comparison to these legacy businesses. Now, there's a reason it's so profitable to do this. You see, the old style businesses, they're very, very strong. They're very strong and they're stable, but they have one fatal flaw. The flaw is in the strength of the business, actually. They remember earlier when I said they need to produce something? They need to produce something to solve a problem. And I've shared over the last month or so an example of a business that I'm familiar with, and I know someone who is part of it, and it's in the heavy duty machinery transportation. Okay, so heavy duties. Think about your cranes and think about like your massive cement mixers and things like that, moving them from site to site to site. That requires special equipment. You've got to have special equipment to do it. And the trucks, I know from, again, personal, not that I've bought those trucks, I know people who have. And I know the price of those trucks. And I know how much it is to get started in those businesses. Now, business owners of these construction companies, they need heavy duty machinery moved from site to site. Not all the time, but occasionally when they've got a new project on, right? They have to have it done. The demand is already there. Now, it requires suitable equipment, which they don't have. There's no point, they don't do it often enough, so there's no point in them having this equipment. It doesn't make any sense. So they need this, but there's no point in having the equipment. So if you wanted to start up a business that services this demand, obviously the demand is pre-existing. This has to happen. You get orders, you'll get customers and clients if you do it. You've got to buy a $500,000 truck, and that's just for one job. That can only move one piece of equipment, right? And oftentimes you'll need 3, 4, 5 of those trucks. And that's the problem. That's $500,000 just to be able to service the demand. Now, the demand is there. That's great. Fantastic. We don't have to find customers. They come to us. But one truck is $500,000. And it makes their margins. Think about the repayment. They don't have the cash to do that when they open up. Think about the repayments they've got to make on those trucks, right? Great business. All the repayments, the interest on the loans, etc., etc., etc. And the second somebody is sick, one of the drivers is sick, which if they're just starting up, of course, is going to happen. If the wheels on that truck don't move, they don't make any money. So excellent business model, strong demand is there, margins are extremely tight. But watch this. We take the frameworks of the old. So that's the old, right? The existing demand, solving the problems, already necessary. But what if we didn't have to deal with the capital components? This is where we bring the new into the old, which is step 2. There's a reason I do that. Now, AI means my margins are extremely high on this. I don't have those huge upfront costs. In fact, I have hardly any costs. I have the systems that I use pre-built. I have my GoHighLevel costs, sure, but I don't have machinery. I can go in there and I can solve these problems for the businesses, replicating the strength of the old style businesses, servicing the existing problems they have, but without their weakness. I can then take the strength of the new style businesses, the AI businesses, which is high margin and low cost. I combine these together. I've got the old model, essential and stable, without the issues. I've got the new model, which is high margins, without the issues of poor client retention. I combine them together. You see how I do that? I combine them together. I take the best of both worlds and I create models around it. Both of those have strengths. I take them both without the weaknesses. So I have high margin, low cost, high demand, essential structures. Combining these together creates the ultimate framework. It's essential, high existing demand, is part of the production process. There's strong retention, low cost, high margin. It's the perfect storm. This is why I do it. This is why you start. There's method to my madness here, right? You can see the method coming together. This is why I'm so focused on this. This is why I'm telling you in the WhatsApp chats, I'm going all in on this. And I have been over the past 1 to 2 years. All in and learning all the time about the production processes. This is why I fly out to North Carolina. And I don't have to do that, right? The clients that I work with, I don't have to be there. Why do I go? Because I get my feet on the ground. I see the production process. I go to the warehouse. I learn about the business. I spend 4 hours at dinner with them night after night after night. I learn so much just from being there. And I take those old styles and I turn them and I implement them into my business because I have the higher margins. This is what nobody in the agency space does. They only ever do this. But there's so much we can learn from over here. So much that nobody else learns. So think about if you were to take the best of this and the best of this, leaving the worst behind, imagine how powerful that would be. Now you've got a business on your hands, right? That's the magic of it. So let's close the circle here and give it a little more context. This is where the systems that we run come into play. Now, I'm going to do this at pace, right? And there's a reason I'm doing it at pace. What I want you to do is I want you to imagine you are a business owner, maybe, well, a business owner in the HVAC space or the real estate space or med spas, or imagine, or chiropractor. Imagine you are that person. You are that business owner who has that clinic or who has that HVAC business or who has spent your day on a roof fixing stuff, right? I want you to imagine you are that person. And I want you to feel what I'm about to say. And as I said, I'm going to do this at pace because I want you to feel it. There's going to be build up here. Before installing a system, here's the reality for you as that business owner. Your phone rings all the time, around the clock. They wake up to missed calls, stress, anxiety. They're at dinner with their family. The phone rings. They're driving. The phone rings. They're actually speaking with someone, speaking with a customer. The phone is ringing all the time. Imagine the anxiety that induces, right? It's intense. It just rings and it rings and it rings and it rings. The receptionist has a sick day. Their day is now absolute chaos. Think about that. The receptionist has a sick day. That happens all the time. Now the phone calls come to them. They either miss them or the phone calls go through to them. So even with a receptionist, the phone's still ringing constantly. They're losing leads who are actively calling their business. They're spending on Google ads. They're trying to progress their business. They're trying to get in front of demands, but they're losing business because leads call at 10 p.m. The receptionist isn't on. They're in bed getting ready for the next day. Their phone rings. They're missing those prospects because they think, well, the prospect should call me through the day. But the reality is the prospect might be working. The prospect might have kids. They might be out. They might be at dinner and they've just got a chance to do it. So they call at 10 p.m. No answer. They never know who's calling them. It could be current clients. It could be prospects. It could be something completely random. All these random numbers calling them. But what does that do? It creates this anxiety. They never know who's calling. It's uncertain. It's not organized at all, right? It's uncertain. They have to answer everything because they never know who it could be. Imagine the feeling of having to answer every phone call all the time. I know I'd hate that. They've spent money on marketing before. They've generated leads. They've got no-shows. They have old quotes that ghosted them. They just sit there and they accept that they've lost money. It annoys them. It aggravates them to no end, but they just accept that they've lost money because their phone is currently ringing. They know they've got to follow up with leads. They know they can make more money from them. They have to remember to follow up from the leads from last week. But then they always feel behind because they know they should be following up with all of their leads, not just last week's leads. But it's hard enough trying to call all these numbers. Then they've got to answer every phone call in case that lead's calling them back. Then another person in the city gets all the leads from Google. The ones that are really looking for the service, the ones that are looking for property in Florida, the ones that are looking for HVAC services, or they've got a broken system, ventilation system, or they've got the roof needs fixed. They've had a leak in the roof. The best quality, urgent-based needs. There's other people in their city that's getting all of those leads simply because they've got more reviews. But the business owner knows this. They know they do better work than them. They know they care more. They know the other guys are cowboys. They know that. But for some reason, the customers just don't leave reviews. So they just continue to lose this business that they deserve. They know they need to fix this because it's starting to hurt. They're always second choice. Then they've got clients who promise them referrals, which would be amazing because the best type of customer and so much easier because they wouldn't have time wasters and tire kickers, but they need to follow up with them and actually get those referrals. But they have no time to do that because they've got to follow up with leads from last week as well. They've got to follow up on invoices that have been unpaid. They've got to answer the phone from Google. They've got to deal with whatever sick day has happened in the office. Then their kids need picked up from school. They've got to take them to football practice. One is off school sick that day. The dog needs to be walked. They've got to buy groceries. The car needs to be fixed. Stress, it's chaos, it's never ending. Imagine all of this just piling up all the time. All the time it's in your head. It's complete chaos. But then we appear and we install our system in 24 hours. And then nothing. What's that? Peace and quiet. It's organized now. Things are organized. And you can feel that space to think. You don't feel as panicked anymore. You don't feel as stressed. Now you can think again. It's quiet. They've got clarity. Their system is now running. It's easy. Things are easy now. You don't have to worry about it. Now, I want you to think about this. Based on how you felt with those two scenarios, and the fact that it will never stop for as long as they have a roofing business or that they have staff or whatever the case is, will they ever go back to the way it was before? Will they go back to that feeling of complete overwhelm and stress where they can't think straight, the complete chaos? No, they'll never go back. Why would they choose to go back to that? The second they turn it off, chaos enters their life again. And it becomes very, very difficult to deal with. They like the clarity. They like that feeling of peace. They like the feeling of being able to think. They like the feeling of their business not owning their life. They like the feeling of actually being able to drop their kids off at football practice and actually be present with them. They like to come home and not have the phone ringing all the time. They like that quality time. They're never going to go back. Now, why is this important? Because if they cancel your service, they return to the disorganized chaos. So their life is beautiful now. They don't have to deal with any of this. And your life is beautiful now because you've got extremely strong retention, which is stronger than everything else. We organize everything for them. It's all organized. We bring organization into their world. The chaos is gone. Once we do that, they never want to go back. It doesn't matter if someone offers it cheaper. The transition is too much effort. It creates the risk of disorganization. Think about it. The second they've got to change phone systems, they've got to, maybe there's a different AI employee or whatever, they've got to get that sorted. Is it working properly? Chaos starts to reappear. The lag time in between time, the chaos returns. 10% discount for 10% less. They don't want that. You don't want any of that. So they never cancel. The business owner sticks with you. The upside isn't high enough. Every business I run, every single one, if someone cancels, they re-enter the world of chaos. It's a crazy decision to make, actually, because they're saying yes to chaos. They're saying yes to a lack of clarity, and they're saying yes to a lack of direction. They're choosing chaos. Why would they ever choose chaos? Why would they do that? So every business that I have, this is how I model it. And I want you to look back and I want you to think. When you're scrolling on YouTube for help doing something, you're the one making the decision as to what's valuable. And amongst huge amounts of information, you're the one returning to chaos. You're the one choosing to make those decisions with no other information available to you, right? When you see other products and things like that, it's a risk. It's a risk of returning to chaos. So you see how everything is built behind this, it's organization. You see how the lack of returning to chaos, the lack of desire to return to chaos is baked into everything that we do. AI employees, we're removing chaos from their life. HVAC companies, they don't have the chaos anymore. You see that? You see how that works? SEO adds a little bit of chaos. Paid ads adds a lot of chaos. So you see how there's friction in those? Whereas we make their life easier. I've spoken a lot and I've posted a lot of content. I've spoken about that now a very close friend of mine that's extremely successful. And I've told you about him before when I've had dinner with him and his phone is ringing constantly. And I kid you not, it is constant, absolutely constant. He can't go a dinner 60 minutes, let's say, without about 10 phone calls coming through and WhatsApps dinging and all sorts. Can't go 60 minutes without it. That's stress. He cannot think clearly. He texted me the other day saying his brain is fried. That's the reality. So we can remove chaos. And that's what I do for him a lot as well. I remove chaos. Take care of a lot of stuff. Remove chaos. So this is how you model it, right? This is exactly why and how you sell the systems we have discussed. The AI employees. It removes that stress of phone calls. The database reactivation. It stops them bleeding money from all the leads that they have had in the past. Lifetime value systems and follow-up systems. It allows them to follow up with those leads they know they should be following up with in a very organized manner. The review system. It means they stop losing business doing something they know they have to do. They just never have time to do it. And the referral system. You have to follow up to get referrals. It's the only way. People are, just as the business owner is chaotic, So is the person who's selling their house that's employed. They are also in a state of chaos because they've also got a life outside of it. So if they don't follow up, they're never going to get the referral. So you see how if they're not organized, if they don't follow up, the referrals are just not going to happen, even though they really, really want them. But we can fix that. We can remove the chaos. We can systemize it so they don't have to worry about it anymore. It's all about removing chaos. Every one of these puts them into a state of organization. And that state is something they'll pay for and keep paying for because they never want to return to the position of uncertainty. That's how we build the businesses. Chaos energy doesn't make money. Only organized energy makes money. That's why if you go into chaos yourself, you're going to fail. You've got to stay organized. This is what you have to do. This is why I was saying this morning, things like morning routines. I always thought it's a nice to have a morning routine. Yeah, sure, it'd be great. I'm starting to realize how valuable it is, honestly, in terms of organization. I keep my notepad, right? I have one page. Every day, I open up a blank. I look at the previous day, see if I've missed anything. But I open up a blank page and I write down my day, every single day. Why? Organization. I've got 10 different plates spinning a lot of the time. This keeps me organized. It's everything. It's everything that I do. It's everything. It's in everything that I do. And it's something that for you to really get that fast success, you have to be organized because organization allows you to have consistency. Consistency leads to results. That's the reality. Every ad campaign that I run, for example, I keep track of the data, not on Ads Manager, but on a spreadsheet because it's organized. I can maneuver however I have to. Keeps me organized. The emails that we send, I keep track of them. It keeps me organized. I have it all centralized on one spreadsheet. Keeps me organized. I can see the inputs. Everything that we do is organized. Everything. This is what I use custom GPTs for, right? All the client work that we have and such, I keep it all in custom GPTs because it organizes it for me. So you see how if you think about everything that you do, it filters. YouTube is a difficult one. It has all the information, but it's poor in terms of organization. That's why people still want to go to school communities and things, right? It organizes it for them. It condenses and centralizes information. So even with the abundance of information on YouTube, people still want organization. Think about this. I want you to see how this filters through into daily life. So this is what you have to do. And once you see this and you see how you create that organization for other businesses, your offer becomes so much easier to sell because you're not selling opportunity, which opportunity also has risk. Opportunity has a sense of chaos, uncertainty, unclear results, unclear outcomes, unclear expectations. Once we move away from selling opportunity and we start to sell fixed outcome, where it's certain, we start selling certainty. It becomes a lot easier. We start selling clarity, ease. It becomes a lot easier. So now you see why we run things the way that we do. We bring the old into the new, and then the new into the old. It creates the perfect framework. Run this framework with this mindset. It'll be the best thing you ever do. So to progress, here's what you have to do. So action steps as you round this training off. You need to push forwards with the understanding that you are on a path that very, very few people are on. You don't understand this. Nobody else understands this. Have a look at the industry as a whole. Every ad that you see, nobody understands that you're selling organization or that that's how you should build your business. Nobody gets it. You have opportunities at your fingertips right now that nobody else has. You have the organization right there. All the systems that we have, all the AI employees, the structures, the database reactivation, etc., 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 etc. All of it's organized for you. It's all pre-organized. You can be organized from now, this second onwards, and then sell organization into other businesses. That's the beauty of it. So you have to take these systems, you have to sell them. You've got to go out there and you've got to generate your leads. You need to send your email campaigns. You've got to build your ladder funnels, and you have to have a consistent daily process for doing so. You've got to have your daily non-negotiable checklists. I must do this every single day. Why? Organization and consistency. Your ladder funnels. What's your production timeline for those? How long is it going to take you? What are your deadlines? It can't be open-ended. Are you going to create ladder funnel products? Great. What's your deadline? When are you going to have it done by? Are you going to run services for ladder funnels? When are you going to have the funnel live by? You must create this organization in your life if you want to see progress. Your goal is very, very simple. The bulk, 99% of the organization is already done for you. There's nothing else you have to do on that front. You have one goal. Get in front of people and realize that you aren't building the same as everybody else out there. That's all you have to do. Get in front of people and explain, not even sell, explain that you remove the chaos. That's all you have to do. And think about that. I'm giving you this one task because I've created the organization for you. That's the same impact you want to have on a business owner. I say business owner as in a client, right? Real estate agent, etc. You want to be able to say to them, all of this is taken care of. You focus on selling. You go out there, you just sell stuff. That's it. Do what you do. Forget about everything else. The same way I've done it for you, right? I've isolated the problem. You go out there, you get business. That's all you have to do. Everything else, taken care of. Client fulfillment, systems, automations, etc. Taken care of. You go out there, you get customers. You say the same thing to your clients. That's all you have to do. So the proof is in the pudding, right? I want to show you that not just in how I operate with clients, but even what we're both looking at here, the systems. It follows the same principles. It organizes. You are building something incredibly strong that won't disappear. You're building something that is going to last you a very, very long time because you're ingrained into the business. You're ingrained, just like I've taught you before the last 2 weeks or so about the printing businesses and how we build AI employees to basically intercept the orders before the order goes to the printing company. We then check the file resolution, copyright issues before the order reaches the print company. Why do we do this? Because it allows them to operate freely. They can take as many orders as they want without increasing their customer service load. They can then take online orders instead of having to go through quotes and then having the process of pricing jobs out and then going back to the person and back and forth, back and forth. None of that. They can just take orders online. They can just sell like e-commerce, which is what they want to do. We intercept. We become part of the production process. We organize it all for them. Organization. We organize it for them and they can just print and sell. That's all they have to do. So you see how, again, if we go back, it follows the same principle. And that is the message that I wanted to share with you today. That is something that I've been thinking a lot about. It's something that I think is incredibly important. Honestly, I don't think anyone else is sort of framing it the way I see things. I haven't come across it before. So I would appreciate if, in a sense, that you use this to your advantage, and we don't necessarily have to tell everybody about our unique advantage. I want you to have this. I want this to be your advantage. I want this to be your secret weapon. Take advantage of it, right? Nobody else is talking about it. Let's keep it like that. And we'll just use this selfishly for ourselves and take advantage of it and understand why in 5 years' time you're still going to have the same people paying you money, because you built the right way. All right, once again, I'm out of breath speaking. That's probably a bigger problem than I realize. Regardless, I'm going to open up the room to any questions. It can be about this. It can be about anything that you want. Does anybody have any questions, any feedback, any comments that they wanted to discuss? Don't be shy. Feel free. It's good to chat. Anybody have anything they wanted to chat about?
So I think it's a a really great lens to look at all of this through. I think this is really helpful. What kind of I think of immediately is like people are kind of disorganized, then that's also part of the challenge of selling to them, is that you're kind of running into their disorganization at that point as well. So I just wonder how you think about that.
Two ways. That's actually when I was saying earlier about your ladder funnels and how you are currently, I suppose, at the mercy of their calendars. That's actually what I was alluding to. That you're at the mercy of their disorganization, whereas and you're paying for it, right? Because you're generating leads, and then you then have to deal with whatever, if they're on airplanes or whatever the scenario is. With a ladder funnel, we can't help them before we help them. So we can't take them out of disorganization before they pay us. That's just, we're not going to do that. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the cost. This is where ladder funnels work so well. I don't care if they're disorganized. I can bring them in all day long. It can break even. It can profit. Beautiful. Then the ones who are ready to get out of that chaos come forwards. So it's always going to happen. You're always going to, that is a reality. They just have to want the outcome, and they have to feel the pain enough. And this is where ladder funnels can often actually, filter the audience for you. They can find the right people without you having to pay for it in time or money. So that's what I was alluding to earlier, actually. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's kind of like getting out of the situation where you may be chasing after people, or kind of being in danger of overextending to try to get the sale because you've invested in it so much. And it's more about like, if you have this pool of people that are you're attracting, and when they're ready, then they're going to move to that next stage. So in that sense, yeah, it doesn't matter if on average they're quite disorganized, because it's building the trust over time. Then you end up with a steady stream of people who have reached the point where they're ready to commit to.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's no harm in working with disorganized. Like that's how outbound prospecting works. Is we find the people, we send enough volume that we find the people who have a high enough urgency and who really want the outcome. Right? We're filtering, like we're just doing it through volume. So there's two ways you can look at it, even with call bookings. Now, that's why I said to you, with call bookings, sell the annual plan, because you are going to be filtering with your time in a sense. So we've got to make your time more valuable to you. Honestly, I framed the call booking to you as, one sale will accelerate you forwards. That's true, but it's also because you're going to be filtering yourself. So it's going to happen. It's just how we filter it. Do we filter it on the front end with a ladder funnel where it doesn't matter to us because they're buying products and then it liquidates? Do we filter it through volume with email? Do we filter it with calls and just charge a higher price because we do the annual plan first? It's the same thing. It's just in a different shape, right? So it's just about filtering and how you want to do that.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Good question. All right. Who's up next? Who's a question or comment? Feel free to unmute yourself.
I thought Wade had one because he was unmuted, but apparently not.
I have 1,000 questions. I was just waiting to give everybody else a chance to ask the questions I was going to ask.
But you were unmuted, so go ahead.
The AI legacy that we have access to, how much of that is going to help us have this?
That's exactly what it does. That's the whole purpose of it. 100% of it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of
You
it.
know what? The one thing I don't like about you is you're completely getting rid of all of my excuses of why I can't make things work.
It's almost like I'm making you more organized, right?
Why are you doing that? I've never been organized in my life. My wife is going to love you to death when she hears all this. No, the one question I had was when I went to my on Teachable, I think it is.
Hmm.
I have Scale Certified, and then I have AI Legacy. So they're not, one's not in the other, or it's two separate areas.
It should be one. It should be in one area, right?
When I go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is it potentially the agency lab you're looking at? Not is that what it says instead of skill certified, or it's just weird. I don't.
I think I've bought everything you've ever even breathed on. The thing is that I have access, like for instance, the AI Employee Masterclass. Is that something different than AI Legacy?
No, it's the AI Employee Masterclass. I think it basically isolates it, right? It just explains it in a different light. So it'll all work together, but your focus would be on AI legs. I would focus on that one because
Okay.
that will incorporate parts of that masterclass into it. It's just sometimes I'll isolate elements of it and do them as a separate training. That's all that is.
All right. Well, it's just this is what I'm going all in on doing this. I'm not doing anything else but this. It's just
Yeah, it works. It really works. It's just the principles of it, right? It's just the more I learn, the more the rooms that I get into when they're extremely successful, like super successful people, and the more I see, wait a second, nobody ever tells you this stuff because it's boring. That's what they don't tell you, but that's the stuff you got to know. Why did no one tell you this? So it kind of shines the light on me because I learn from them too, right? And I take what I learn. I think how do I put this into action? I'll put it into action. I'll learn from it, and then I'll tell you what works, and don't do the stuff that I did that didn't work. Which of which there's a lot, right? There's a lot of testing that I do and things. So yeah, it's a lot of the stuff is stuff that people don't tell you because it's boring, and then boring doesn't sell, but it's what you need to be doing. All on it, like it's how businesses work, and no one ever thinks as they're a kid growing up that they want to look at that big ugly industrial factory. I want to run that. They don't think that, right? They look at
right.
the software company or private jet company. They want to run that, but yeah, the people with the big houses, they're the ones that run the factory. The people on the news for tax evasion are usually the private jet people. That's the reality.
I'm just I'm tickled to death. I really appreciate all that y'all put together.
No worries. No worries.
I think one of the things that I'm running into is when I get into it, so AI legacy is where I'm supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
If I get that, go through that, at the end of the day,
you end up in the right place. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
No worries. No worries. All right, Olivier, the floor is yours.
And it's so funny. You were talking about chaos, and listening to what you say is I'm incorporating that in all my talks. And I told you how chaotic was my client in South Africa.
Yeah.
And he's completely overwhelmed because he's gaining so much huge opportunity in front of him at the moment. He's got 4 gigantic opportunity. One is to open a production unit in South Africa for producing at a lower cost the material and be able to sell it on the US market because he just opened a branch in the US to be able to do that. And when he told me that, the first thing that came to my mind when he made the list of all the opportunities, like I had a talk with him and like I know him good. I said, you don't want to pass them just because you're overwhelmed and at the moment everything is too chaotic in the business. I said, this is, you want to be able to leverage technology to help you there. And we can work on that to help you put in place the system, you know, either in your production unit or in, because he has another opportunity when he can do after-sales service of other indoor playground, small module in McDonald's in South Africa. There's 300 of them, and they all have very bad after-sales service for the company who created this playground. And he's got a team of people who cannot get visa in the US at the moment that he could use in South Africa to do all that kind of things. But it needs to be all organized. You know, you need to collect the lead. You need to go after with reminders after the people. You need to organize the demands coming in. You need to prepare the tour of the people, manage the staff, all of that. So yeah, it's a lot. It can be done a lot with systems like that, and a lot of it. I discover Ask AI in GoHighLevel at the moment, and there is a lot of things you can do with that very quickly. So it's getting more and more exciting to be able even to do it in that part. So yeah, it's very funny how he aligns. He got contact with a safety certification company who was specialized in indoor playground, and they got a lot of the South African market, but now they want to expand. So now he's gonna put me in contact with that guy because they want to expand in the Northern Europe, Scandinavia, and all of that. So maybe I'm gonna be the guy trying to figure out the list of contacts that he could get and bring them in and being paid to figure that out. But at the same time, that will be the exact target for my package that I will develop in GoHighLevel, you know, that we were talking about 2 weeks ago. So, because they will be the end users, the one that it goes to certify the playground for. So,
honestly, you'll be amazed at what happens when you just become, when you get into these businesses and you just take things off their plate for them. You'll be amazed at what happens, because number one, it's so sticky. So it's incredibly sticky. You are fed more and more opportunity. They want to tell everybody about you. So when you're talking about, you know, the company he services would then be your end client. That's the, you know, you give them a kickback, sure, things like that. They want to do these things because it's easy for them. Again, make it easy, make it easy, make it easy. It's this organization concept that really is. The more you can make it. So the guy I was telling you about, right? The super successful guy. When they first started with us, he basically said the previous company that they worked with, it was just like a low cost one as they built up. He had to basically look over everything that they did at every point, right? And he couldn't trust that. And the biggest breath of fresh air was the fact that it just seemed like we were just like a machine. Everything just worked for whatever reason. He doesn't have to check anything. And that's because, it's not because it doesn't happen. Like, the mess still happens. It's just that we've got systems in place that fix it before he ever comes across his desk, or doesn't have to, but you know what I mean? Like, it's a filter in place. That's what it's all about. It's this illusion of perfection, but it's not. It's just because we catch the mess early. The mess still happens. We just catch it earlier before it gets to that part of the production process. And these people, you hear people say, like, sell things to people who have a lot of, or who have a lot of money, and they'll pay you. But all you have to do is sell organization. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's I think back in the financial days, there's a great example of this. In the industry, he was infamous, right? This CEO guy, and he used to fly office to office, and he was like poached from one company to the other, and things like that. All that stuff happened. He had this, he had this assistant, who he paid something like 150,000 a year, just an assistant, because he kept everything organized in his life, everything. And yeah, he's now married to her, but that's besides the point. It's, very, very highly paid assistant, right? But you think sometimes if you look for assistants and things like that on Indeed or whatever, they'll get paid like 30,000 or 40, 150 to 200K, I think it was. But why? Because it kept everything organized. Like, you think about that. Like, that's the power of organization. It's incredible. It really is. So just follow that principle, follow that line of thought all the way, and it'll work.
Yeah, and then I like your you give me idea for my communication just through the masterclass like that. I'm gonna pick some stuff and make my communication based on that, because I think that's gonna help resonate, attract the people who see the benefits of solving the chaos, turning into organization. So yeah. And
one thing I'd recommend that you do in communication is keep your sentences very, very short. So just say, this is what I'm going to do, this. Or or he comes with a problem, just say, consider it done. Consider it taken care of. No more information, just for little things, right? Just that word, consider it taken care of. Oh, powerful. So powerful. It's like ease, it's peace. It's just, and not for the big things, obviously, because but little things. Consider it taken care of.
You know what I love as well is that my partner is an engineer background, and he's now playing with cloud code and all of that, and so we can take projects like that as well, and build the dashboard that he can control everything, and from and that kind of things, and connect in the production part and the stock management. We can connect all these kind of things with the material that he will need, and we can take care of all of that, and it's and feed it back in the system with GoHighLevel. So that can be very good in that way. With the fact that that GoHighLevel is open with this API that way, that's also a very powerful solution to deal with this and to come and plug yourself into the operations.
The last thing I'll say on it is, or the last example I'll say is, think about why people buy CRM systems. Now, the reality is, selling CRM systems to businesses that don't have a lot of customers or a very early stage, hard to do, because they don't have an organization issue. Then selling it to customers who do likely already do have one, because they've been around for years. That's why it's harder to sell CRMs. That's why GoHighLevel has so many other features. It's hard to sell a CRM. But why Salesforce such a big company? Why do these things exist? What about Asana, Monday.com? They just organize stuff. That's it. It's just that format of them, CRMs, that's something that's been around for 15 years? More probably, I don't know. At least 15 years, because I used them 15 years ago. So it's just that's just a slightly saturated version of it. But look at where that went to, how far that has gone. What if we just take the same principles and took the
and how many companies? There are so many companies doing CRMs. It's crazy.
Yes, exactly.
As well. Yeah.
Exactly. So just take what we learn from those. Take the old way of doing it. Bring the new way into it. The new way with AI and such. Bring it in. Don't sell a CRM, but sell the other things around it.
Yeah.
So we're going to do it.
So that was my 2 cents.
All right. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions they want us to cover? Feel free to ask. You can ask in the chat if you want to, or you can unmute yourself. Feel free to do so.
I had a question.
You go ahead.
Oh, 2 people speaking at the same time there. I think Chloel, you were first there. Ian, if you just hold that thought for a second. I heard Chloel came through first there.
Okay, now I know you have patience of a saint dealing with me because I be bouncing around. So I have been still pushing for I've been getting still people coming in for consulting, but like I had discussed me having a larger audience, but I really just don't want to because my life is hectic
Mhm.
and just doing like the energy you have to put for one-on-one is a lot with clients, like meeting weekly and all the things
Yeah.
versus just delivering a system with the AI and being done. So I have still been pushing that along and have had some leads. I haven't closed any sales calls yet because I've had more attention on like the calendar's been more people wanting to do consulting.
Mhm.
But today I was going to go ahead and start the warming process for my domains with Woodpecker.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is, and I think this is maybe just a mental thing where I'm having a challenge, which I know we kind of talked about before. So I was going to go ahead and do the cold email. So I know the warming process is going to take 2 weeks, but is there anything else besides that that should be done? And I guess because I'm used to a lot of manual things when it comes to sales, like the whole direct thing. So I guess for me, I'm like trying to wrap my mind around like, I guess I feel like there's something more I should be doing
Mhm.
besides the emails.
So, first of all, one thing you could be doing with the emails is data quality or data is extremely important. So one thing I like to do is I do like to just take a city and you can buy leads, etc. Absolutely fine. But also having just getting 20 different emails on Google Maps and things like that or per city or working on a city over a coffee or something like that, digging just their emails, ask ChatGPT to grab their emails and grab it. That will help you. Small list, yes, but a lot fewer people will have that as well. Just generally, for the whole cold email industry, right? They won't have it. So it will give you an advantage. And it could be 20 per day. That's what you've got to do. I would do that just to improve data quality and give you a diversification. The other thing I would do is I would probably run a ladder funnel as well, where and like I was saying in I don't know if it was in the chat or if it was here, can't remember, but running a ladder funnel where you run a simple installation for them, for like the AI services or the AI systems, simple installation for $27, and you upgrade them into done for you and things like that, works really well because they get the outcome so quickly. So for example, I'm running a ladder funnel right now. The product price is $27. It's selling for 24, which so just on that one product it's slightly profitable, but that doesn't include the upsells. So it's now 3 times profitable, 300% return, simply because I'm selling the implementation on the front, not a product, not learning, just the implementation. That's what I would do. Does that make sense to you to see what I'm saying? Do you have questions about that or anything?
It does. Like this week I started like for instance, I've been going on like Facebook ads library and looking for in certain cities for like med spa or like those type of industries. And then if I find their email, they're on their about page. I've been sending like a cold email like that because I don't have anything warmed up. So I've been doing that, and my goal is like 10 to 20 per day.
Yep.
Because I just don't want to sit and wait for email. Because I know, end of the day, the warm up is kind of like a spray and pray approach. Like maybe somebody will respond, but I'm like, at least this one is, more direct and more in my control. But
Yeah.
beyond that, the ladder funnel is something I didn't consider for this. I know I did in the past for like when I was doing business coaching and consulting. So that's something I'll look into.
Yeah, you don't have to build any products for it, which is the secret behind it. It's just a simple installation. So you just have to build the sales page and then you can run it. And it sells a lot better because the outcome, if you sell education, the outcome is after learning, which is effort. Whereas if you simply sell the installation, the outcome is instant for them. So it sells a lot better, right? Because people are, globally, people are lazy. That's the thing. They don't want to put effort into it. So don't make them. Just sell the installation and it'll work. So you have to think about that.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions from your side? No.
That's it. Thanks.
No worries. No worries. All right. Ian, I think you're up next. If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to ask.
Oh, hey there, Noel. Yeah, I'm just wondering for possibly a future call if you could maybe go over outreach, outbound getting clients. So as I've only really just started, I've probably sent around 100 emails and haven't had any. I know it's quite low, but I haven't had any bites. So I'm just wondering if that's something you could possibly do on a future call.
Yeah,
Some of
sure.
them
I can do a
doing
lead gen
cold calling
session.
as well.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I mean, for email, just for context, I probably wouldn't be making assessments until we've sent about 1,000 or so. That's a
Okay.
good benchmark because it's a game of averages, right? So I would do that, and I would also look and adjust as well, like the offer and things like that. There's different offers. I would take, if you caught part of this stream, because I think you might have hopped in about halfway or so, I would rewatch the start of it as well. Position it how I'm positioning it. Like, learn from this one and position your email the way I'm positioning this is what I'd recommend as well, because this is really powerful.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Because I can definitely do a training on it, no problem at all.
That'd be great. Thanks very much.
All right, all right. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to ask. I'll give you a few seconds. Nobody? No questions. That's all good. All right. I shall take that as we've covered all the questions.
Can I make one statement before we go?
Of course you can.
You said you had that fella who had an assistant and he paid, 6 figures to,
Yep.
because they kept everything and he ended up marrying her. Well, man, he got off cheap. I give my wife everything. I don't get to keep a dime.
I can tell you because I've met them both and spent years. He did not get off cheap because I know she was extremely expensive in the sense that she enjoyed private jets and things like that. So I don't know if I don't know if it was quite the same. And I know that was from conversations that's what she wanted. So I don't think that's quite true.
And just one last thing, I put it in the chat, but you didn't say anything about it. Voice bots.
AI employees, that's what that is.
Okay.
AI employees, yeah.
All right. Thank you, brother.
All right. All right. All right. Any last questions before we wrap up? No. Yes, Ian. Oh, you did ask that. I've got there's a list that I have. I've just got to tag you to get access to those emails. So I'll tag you in that one, and you should get email notifications. My bad on that one. I forgot to tag you there in the email notifications. All right. All right. All right. And okay. Perfect. Well, on that note, folks, I'll wrap up the call for the day. Once Google send me this, we'll get it uploaded, and I'll send out the replay for anyone who wants to rewatch it. And any questions, as ever, please let us know in the chat. We've got a lot of good stuff coming in the background in terms of build outs and structures and how to make this easier for you and things like that. So keep an eye out for that coming. And yes, any questions, please let us know. Have a good day, everybody, or good evening, wherever you are located. And we'll chat soon. Perfect.
Bye, brother.
See you, everyone. See ya. You're welcome. See ya.